Hello. Can I let you in on what's not exactly a well-kept secret? I have not been the kind of content creator I am now for as long as I was a vlogger. Circumstances continued to mean that I had to have given up on making more of that kind of content and shift gears into making much more of the kind of content that I am making now, which means that it's something that I'll never really stop learning how to do properly. There are a couple of shout outs I want to make again, sorry, to those who had and are helping me with that. To my older brother Chris, who introduced me to doing video logs way back in those pre-pandemic days in the first place and got me out exploring, and who was teaching me how to use editing software, and Chris, a different one, whose expertise now is the reason why he's helping with managing the channel, because he has the time to be helping me improve the quality of the content I am putting out. Thank you to both Chris's for the help you've given me in the past and now. Anyway, I spouted on what's not the topic of this video long enough. I'm not wanting to bore you by being long-winded. Right, so the question is, how much is too much or too little content? The problem with YouTube is always going to be working out that what pleases the almighty algorithm, for it is our Lord and Master, and we must bow down to make enough content to make it worth having a channel at all. Yet at the same time we risk overloading ourselves and our audience. What kind of content? Reviews, education, gaming, lives, vlogs, creative. The list of what we could do for the right engagement is endless, and the balance of all of the above can be great for retention. But how can we determine what is the right thing to upload to get that? Can we determine this? YouTube has analytics that aid in showing what's getting more bites and what isn't. We can make posts that include polls to ask, but in the long run of it all, what works and what doesn't fluctuates. For example, I've gone from I was mainly a vlogger to that's far enough down the list of what I plan to put out that I even created a separate channel to post those on. Same with creating content on learning to cook. A separate channel. Exactly what I'd ended up doing on the other channels linked to in my channel information. Separating off something like political content and vlogs and other types of topics for discussion has always made sense to me, because what people like is easier to find if it's somewhere they don't have to dig around to watch. I've got my opinions, I'll always have my opinions. I don't demand anyone agrees with what mine are for one single second. I only ask that we mutually respect each other on what they are, even if what I think differs from what you think. You're free to go and check out the channels I'd had before. Whilst I admittedly can no longer sign into them to see any comments you might leave there, I'm reasonably happy for you to go look at what I'd had to say. I'd been part of things like socialist activism, regardless as to if I should be proud of holding those opinions or not. Who I am now doesn't necessarily tally with who I was then. I wasn't even called Louise then, as you'll see if you watch those videos. I'm not ashamed of having wanted to have stood up for the rights of certain groups of people though, even if I don't know whether or not I can justify if I was right to or not. I can only hope I'm not just back to rambling and I am actually making coherent points. You know you can tell me if I'm not. I'm pretty sure there is going to be way more that I am going to want to say when it comes down to it about being a YouTube content creator, but I know that there's plenty more experienced people on here who know what they're on with than me, so for now, to save my train of thought running away any further, I'll simply ask that you continue to keep liking, sharing, commenting and subscribing to help me grow, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.